The main mind state that creates racism is identity. Identity is the root of why people separate in races and separate in anything. It's all about identity. Some people think that not identifying with a race is one way to cure racism. These people are neither right or wrong. It's just that it won't work in this time because people can't just choose to not identify. When people say they won't identify or don't identify, what they're doing is they're just saying it consciously and thinking it consciously and expecting it to work for them. But subconsciously, they're still identifying because you cannot just choose to not identify and actually stop identifying. You're still identifying. You're just saying you're not, and maybe you're thinking that you're not. And you could even be, on a philosophical level, you could probably know that identification and identity is a big part of why we're separated. But it doesn't mean that you could just choose to stop identifying and actually stop identifying. What we need to do collectively is acknowledge that we do identify and let it be okay. But set the intention to do the necessary work to lessen the fear and the anxiety related to race and stereotypes, and to get to the root of why we are so deeply identified, and then change any beliefs related to any negative part of ourselves and anything negative related to stereotypes. And that's where we have to start. And this takes me to my next point, that the things that we are doing, the things that people in society and in the media and in social media are doing to try to lessen the effects of racism, 99% of the people and 99% of the things that these people are doing is only increasing racism. It's only going to heighten the negative effects of racism, because pretty much all of what people are doing is involved in deep identity and deep identity politics. From Black Lives Matter protests to the speeches that people make, to the discussions, to the concerts that they have sometimes, to the removal of the Confederate flag and statues. I mean, pretty much all of these things, it's so involved directly or indirectly with identity politics and identity, especially what Black people are doing. It's so deeply involved in Black and being Black and Black identity. When there is so much emphasis, okay, being placed on identity and being placed on your race and your racial identity, it causes more separation because people will only see you for your race. People will only see you as what you identify as. When people only see you for your race, they become more race conscious, and they will only see you and the world through the lens of race and through the lens of us versus them. If the air you create around yourself is highly based on your race or anything really, anything about yourself, anything you identify with, if what you create around yourself is so deeply identified in race, since we're talking about race in this case, people interactions with you will be based on race, and therefore there will be racist interactions. And so the racism continues because every time I look at you, because you're so identified with race, I just see you through a race lens, i.e., a racist lens. So every time I say something to you, there's something racial. There's a racial element to everything, every interaction I say with you, because that's all I see. Because that's all you create around yourself. Because you're so deeply identified. People need to get this. And it's cruel to blame people, like like say blame white people for seeing you for your race and having racist and racial interactions with you, because you've so deeply identified, and that's all they see when they see you, because you're so deeply identified. To blame, to like hold it against them is quite cruel, because it's just an automatic response to what they are facing, to what they're experiencing with you. To expect them to not be this way is to expect them to do something that you can't do. If a white person identifies so deeply with being white, every time I see them, it's like white supremacist people. Every time I see them, I see their white supremacy, and I see whiteness. And every time, every my interaction with them will just be that. It will only be them and what makes them white, and their white politics and their white identity politics. So that, so when it's reversed, you bet that every interaction a white person will have with a black person will be a racist interaction, because that is what you create around yourself as a people and as individuals. Like I said before, people, you cannot just not identify right now. You can't just say you don't identify with a race and have that be true. It will not be true. Okay, we have to acknowledge that there is identity there, that we are prone to identity politics. Acknowledge all these things, because when you acknowledge the truth, you shine a light on it, and the darkness that is involved, you start to release that darkness, and you release the anxiety and release the fear, and then the racism become less. There's no cure for racism overnight, but we have to start at these steps. And I'm the only person that I see making sense as far as this is concerned. And as far as I see, down the road, the way that people are going, and there's because they're so highly identified and deeply identified, is going down the path of a race war. Because the more people identify, the more they separate. And the more identity politics is introduced, the more they separate. And the more they separate, they only see each other as race. And the more that happens, the fear and the anxiety, and because of the whatever stereotypes, increase. And then more, I mean, all these related things and other things that I'm not even mentioning right now, like certain actions that people are taking, it becomes more and more, and then it leads up to a fucking race war, and to a point where it can't be reversed, and then people start to die, and then we have even more of a bigger crisis on top of the crises that we have right now in today's society. So please take these things in consideration, and and buy my book, and watch the videos, and spread the world, and spread the word rather, share the content, and I'm looking forward to some interviews. Who want to interview me? I don't know. I hope people see this video, and we could move forward. It could become better if we take the necessary steps, the right steps, the things that I'm mentioning, and what other people are saying won't work. Because like, I sound arrogant, but I'm the only one that I see making sense in this life right now, as far as this topic is concerned. Thank you, and bye.